Hey, welcome to Janktown. New York Comic Con has just revealed 5 new legendary creatures coming out of the Marvel Multiverse: Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, Storm, and of course, the topic of our video today, Wolverine, the best there is.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
So since you clicked on this video, I'm sure you already know what Wolverine does. Let me just skip reading the card. Thank you to everybody who voted on the poll. Since you guys wanted to see that full length, I'll take you guys through the commander analysis, the deck's different themes, as well as specific card choices. And so if that sounds good to you, or you want to let your voice be heard, make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe. Be a part of Janktown, you know? Water's great. Come on in. Anyway, let's get into it. So when building out a commander deck, something I like to start with is settling what is the role of our commander. And since we gotta buy like a secret lair drop just to be able to play with Logan, figured might as well go all in and use him as a build around. Meaning our deck is built to showcase Wolverine's abilities, and it'll do really well if he's out there, but it'll struggle if he gets hated out. Now the most eye-popping thing about Wolverine is that first line of text where he does double damage. Cause not gonna lie, that's pretty scary out of the command zone. He essentially turns 40 life into like 20 or 21 commander damage into like 11. So he's kind of like an infect commander. And something that's cute is that damage multipliers actually stack. So if you have a damage doubler out there, it'll double and then it'll double again. So if you swing in for 2, it'll become 4, and then it'll become 8. Yeah, it's a cute effect, you know, but these aren't typically low mana value effects. So sometimes they feel like just a little win more. And so I didn't include any in this deck, but it is something to keep in mind in case it's something that you just want to see or experiment with. Unfortunately, what Wolverine does not have is any type of evasion. So he's like the world's most dangerous killer, you know, until like there's a squirrel or something in front of him. It's important to give Wolverine ways to get in. So whether that's going to be trample, menace, flying, or even just sometimes outright being unblockable. Now the other line of text that I see people getting excited over is his ability to grow himself through like these fight or bite effects. Honestly, I kind of think that's like a sucker's game. Not that fight is bad, you know, like fight's decent removal, especially if you're like in green. It's just kind of slow. Like our first fight spell lets us kill 4 toughness creatures, and then after that 6 toughness creatures. So you know, it's decent. But a lot of the fight effects are either one-time effects, meaning we gotta like spend a card to do it, or we have to tap something, right? And so tap effects means it only happens once per turn cycle. So yeah, it'll work as removal, but you know, it's just kind of slow if we're really banking on it to like grow Wolverine as a threat. So instead, what we want to do is find other ways to grow Wolverine's power quickly and efficiently. Fortunately, Gruul has some terrific options with stuff like giant growth, monstrous rage, and things like this. This means Wolverine isn't going to be the type of commander that we just like want to run out immediately as soon as we can. Now, we want to be able to have a big turn with him, so it's important that we ramp first, and therefore we can have some mana up so we could do like a mini storm off. Now, it is possible to storm off even without rituals because the deck I've built for us has a curve of like 1.9, or at least according to Moxfield. Now, we are running an aggressive deck built around like efficient player removal, but something that I always see when players pilot these kinds of builds is that they feel bad when they have an opportunity to take somebody out early. Trust me, don't feel too bad because the other 2 people are going to be joining them real soon. Or maybe we'll die. I don't know. The deck is liquid offense though. Lastly, the regenerate ability. It's kind of sus. 2 is a bit expensive, and regenerate doesn't even really get around the popular removal effects these days, like -X, exile, things like this. Still, it's better than nothing. But yeah, if we're not careful, we're probably gonna have to send him into command zone a lot more than we'd probably like. And so with that in mind, our deck is gonna consist of our 7 themes. We'll have our usuals of ramp, removal, and draw. But we'll start with our other themes of Berserker Rage, getting in, better than regenerate, and something we like to call UBP, or utilities, bombs, and pets. Wolverine is famous for his Berserker Rage, and we can quickly make him into a monster. Invigorate, Groundswell, Embiggen, some of the biggest pluses you can get for the lowest mana rates. And Downhill Charge is a potentially free pump spell. Sure, it sucks to sacrifice a land, but getting maybe something like +3/+0, which translates to like +6/+0 when it comes to Wolverine, it can mean all the difference between going for the head or not. Unleash Fury and Berserk are means to double Wolverine's power and essentially quadruple his output rate. Berserk also comes in new art, so bonus points for that. And yeah, Berserk destroys the creature at end of combat if it attacked. However, Wolverine's regeneration abilities actually work in this scenario, so flavor win right there. Psychotic Fury and Temur Battle Rage both give double strike, which is just another means to quadruple Wolverine's output. And in addition to just power boosts, Reckless Charge and Samut Sprint both give haste while also giving +3 and +2 to Wolverine's power respectively. Now Halana and Elena give haste while giving Wolverine counters, although they are a little bit on the expensive side, mana value wise. And Rhythm of the Wild also is part of the Wolverine secret lair, and it's either a haste enabler or it gives an extra +1/+1 counter. Now, last two cards in this theme, Hero's Blade, just a classic Voltron piece. I like that we can play it early and then later on equip for free when we're ready to cast Wolverine, so that mana that we save can come in pretty clutch. And a card that I've just always seen overperform against its market price is Communal Brewing. Now, I know some players hate giving cards to other players, but in this case, I think it's all worth it. Giving our creatures 4 +1/+1 counters as soon as they enter the battlefield, that is a huge and scary effect, and it just works for decks that either want to go wide or in this case, go tall. It's just a good card. Now, I did cut Jessica Thrice Reborn. I mean, she does Wolverine 1 better by tripling his damage after it's been doubled. But ultimately, I cut her because she is 3 mana value and she can only come in after Wolverine's been played. So, kind of awkward in terms of the setup, and it just feels like a little win more for me. Now, with all that power, we need to give Wolverine ways to get in. Brotherhood Regalia and Key to the City means to give Wolverine outright unblockable at a very efficient clip. Monstrous Rage, Rancor, and Tillinali's Crown all give Wolverine trample while also boosting his power. And at the top end of our curve, we have Indomitable Might, lets us ignore blockers outright, doesn't matter who's there. And Mage Slayer just spits the damage ahead of time. I was careful to take note of the wording here. It's not Mage Slayer that deals damage to the opponent, it's the equipped creature. So in this case, the damage would still be doubled because it's Wolverine dealing the damage. So Logan is a threat, and we're likely gonna need something better than Regenerate to keep him from dying to our opponents. Vines of Vastwood, Blossoming Defense, pump spells that also double as protection through Hexproof, and Canopy Cover also gives Hexproof, but this time it gives Wolverine that extra evasion he might need. Now, aside from these, we're also running our all-reliable boots. But instead of running Greaves, which would give Shroud, we don't like Shroud, we're running Lava Spur boots so we can keep targeting Wolverine with our own spells. Last couple cards here, Tyvar Stand and Overprotect, both of which give Indestructible on top of Hexproof. Now, despite the low curve of our deck, we actually need to ramp quite quickly so that we can just start stacking our spells up. Soul Ring, the ultimate turn 1, Tier 0 card, but Utopia Sprawl, Wild Growth, and Search for Tomorrow are all really good turn 1 plays, and we're also bringing in some mana dorks like Birds of Paradise, Llanowar Elves, and Finhorn Elves just to vault us ahead early. Now for Burst Ramp, another pair of 1-drops is Orcish Lumberjack and Magus of the Vineyard. Now, I like these because they can just burst us ahead. I know sometimes it sucks to sacrifice a land, but hey, if that's the difference again between killing an opponent or just being short on mana, we'll sacrifice the land every time. Now, after that, some traditional land ramp you'll see in typical green decks like Explore, Nature's Lore, 3 Visits, Farseek. Nothing crazy here, but they are really good staples. Now, despite being aggressive, we have a few safety valve removal spells. Beast Within, Chaos Warp, always good, don't leave home without them. And one of the best wraths in the game, Blasphemous Act, essentially it always just plays for 1 mana, and it wipes usually 99% of the board. I've almost never seen it whiff. We're also bringing a couple of fight effects. Fine, we are running some fight, for the flavor. Hunter's Talent, because we're trying to hunt things down, and Ulvenwald Tracker. Now, the talent has the flexibility to give Wolverine Trample in level 2, and that's, I think, really valuable. Last couple of removal spells, some one-sided wipes in Chandra's Ignition and Waltz of Rage. Now, notably, the source of damage in both of these cards is going to be Wolverine, so whatever power Logan has, double that, and that's how much damage we're dealing to the rest of the board. Now, Draw lets us sculpt our hand or refuel after we finish somebody off. Keen Sense, Sixth Sense, pair of 1-drop auras that can cantrip themselves and hopefully do better than that. Season of Growth gives us a card back whenever we target a creature with a pump spell or an aura. Bitter Reunion, Highway Robbery, and Demand Answers all read pretty similarly, and I think these are the most flexible variants of these. Like, I really value being able to give haste in a pinch with Bitter Reunion. I like being able to plot away Robbery to essentially bank the mana in an earlier turn, and I value how we can sacrifice either a land or, in the case of Demand Answers, sacrifice an artifact instead of having to discard so that we can draw 2 cards. Red is also really good for Impulse Draw, and so Reckless Impulse and Ren's Resolve lets us exile the top 2 cards of our library and play them until our next turn. And finally, some burst draw cards. Harmonize, just a classic pay 4 for draw 3. Hunter's Insight draws us a huge amount of cards. We're probably going to end up having to discard those anyway, but at least we'll be able to sculpt the perfect hand and escape to the wilds. Just a great top end to help us refuel for that next go around. UVP time. So this is going to be a short list, and the Ozolith makes the cut because it's just way too cool to not make the cut. You know, if you get it from the secret lair, I don't see how you can't play this. It backs our hard-earned counters that Wolverine can pick up where he left off, but really, this is making it because the art's so good. Archdruid's Charm, just a super versatile spell, can get any land from our deck, can be a fight spell, can exile a problematic artifact or enchantment, you know, it just does it all. And Crawl Space saves our butt. This way we don't get overrun by like go wide effects or like token decks or anything like this. Last card of the deck, Kedis Emberclaw Familiar. Now this lizard goes nuts when it's paired with Wolverine. If Wolverine hits somebody, even at just base power 2, it'll double it, so fine, 4 commander damage going to that person. Then Kedis triggers, and since it sees the 4 damage happening, it'll deal that much damage to each other opponent. However, since Wolverine is the source of that damage actually gets doubled again, so instead of dealing 4, it'll deal 8 to the other 2. Sure, it's not gonna be like 8 commander damage, but it is a viable means to just kill one person with commander damage while also killing the other 2 with regular damage. That's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and if you found it useful, I hope you could leave a like, share, and subscribe. All those things really help the channel out. The deck list is available in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed swinging by Janktown. Good luck on your brews. Stay inspired, friends, and I'll see you soon.